Hi friends, today we are having Coding Meetup number 4, Higher Order Function Series, Find the First Python Developer. In this kata, you will be given again a list, an array. And inside this array you have a number of objects. Each of them represents a person. And this time, you just have to find the first person who has specified that their language is Python. Okay, so that's pretty much with the description. And let's go to the tests. Okay, so I'm expanding the tests. I'm starting nice and easy with the expect statement, importing the expect statement from the chai assertion library. Okay, that's how I like to do it. Also, I am changing the vars to const just to keep all my code nice and modern. Then I'm writing the describe statement, and this time I'm describing get first Python, right? That's the name of the function which we are testing. And by any means, you don't have to do that. You can just use what the tests which are given. I just like to do that because that resembles the real production, like real life app code. Okay, so it works with list 1, right? And I expect get first Python with list 1 to be equal, and it has to be equal to this string, right? So I'm pasting this string right here. The second one, it works with list 2, and this time I expect get first Python list 2 to be equal to this string. So let's analyze it a little bit more. So I'm deleting those tests. And in the first list, right, I am searching for a person who is a Python developer. And here she is. It's Victoria from Puerto Rico, and she has specified that her language is Python. In the second list, no people. You see, there's Xenia, who has JavaScript as her language, and Amar, who has Ruby as his language. So in the second list, no Python developers. That's why we are returning there will be no Python developers. Okay, and that's per the requirements. And so I hope the tests are clear. I am minimizing them again. And as always, I like to delete everything and start from scratch. So get first Python. It will get an array as an argument. This time, what I'm doing, I'm going to use really short variable names. That's how I normally solve my katas. I use single letter variable names just because I like my solutions to be nice and short. I'm still using like semicolons, proper spacing, and things like that, just because they look like really wrong otherwise, but I'm using very short variable names. So just tell you how I operate. So to get the first item from an array which passes a test, we have a special function for that. It's called find. Let me show you how it works. So for Python developer, I'm just naming it P, right? And it is a, like array, dot find. Inside the callback, I have the item. Normally I would name this one item, but in katas, like not, God forbid, in production code, in like real life like applications, I'm using proper naming, but in katas I'm just naming it v for value. So I need v dot language to be equal to Python, right? And that will give me either undefined or an object, right? So I'm immediately returning a condition if p is not undefined, right? If it's not falsy value, undefined is a falsy value. So if it's not a falsy value, then, or if it's a, you might say if it's a truthy value, then I am using template strings and I get the first name from the p, and I also get the country, right? So that's the first one. If p is undefined, if it turns out there are no Python developers, I'm just writing there will be no Python developers, right? And that is basically it. But wait, there is more. Let me just run the test. Looks like I have made a mistake, and yes, there it is. One too many quote marks. Let's try again. Yeah, the test looks like the tests have passed, but if you have followed my like videos, you know that I usually solve these type of things in one line. So what happened? How am I not doing that this time? So there's an easy way to solve it in a single line. That would be just to take this part, right, and substitute each p with this section. Also, you will have to check if that's if that is like not undefined right here. Also, you change it here and you change it here. So the code would look something like that. Sorry, haven't copied that actually. So like that, and like that. But we can delete all this section, and we are somewhere. This guy kind of obstructs my view. So we have like really long solution, but it's one line. Let's see if we can do any better. Maybe we can use something like reduce. Maybe reduce will give us solution in one line and also make it shorter. Let's try that, okay? So get, oh, by the way, before we do that, let's check if that still works. Let's run the examples. Yep, that still works. Excellent. So const get first Python, it's a, then a reduce. Reduce will have, let me think, the reduce will have r as a result and v as value. And let's start the reduce. The initial value will be null, okay? I'll explain why I have chosen null like in a second. So first of all, I have to do quite a big check, so I'm using parentheses. First of all, it cannot, like this result must not be set, right? It has to be false. It has to be like null or whatever, like false value. It's gonna be like null all the time. So if it is null and the dot language is Python, right? So what I'm doing right here, I'm just checking. This will be like this type of thing. So if r is undefined, and it will be undefined until I have found like at least one value, right? Which at least one developer who is who is Python developer. Until I do that, I have this r as undefined. Also, language is Python. That's the second check. So when both of these conditions are met, I'm returning, very easy, same thing as, okay, I don't have this thing anymore since I replaced it, so I have to rewrite that. So it will be v dot first name and comma and v dot country. Okay, so that's the true part. Okay, so what about the false part? The false part will be like even easier. It will just be r. Okay, so you want to keep returning the null until we found the developer. You might be saying, okay, so what happens if there are no Python developers? You are just returning null. And that's not the case. I still have a trick, and this trick is the OR operator. So this whole thing becomes like it gets evaluated, and if it's not, if it's falsy again, so it can either be like null or it can be this part, right? So two options. So if it's falsy, if it's null, then I am returning there will be no Python developers, right? And that's basically it. So we have saved quite a bit of keystrokes, and we have used this probably reduce is not as efficient, but we are still running this just once, and here we are running find 3 times. Okay, so still probably my first solution was like the best, but I wanted to show you that it's always possible to do those kinds of things like in one line. Can we make it even shorter? Can we make the reduce even shorter? We might, but before we do that, let's check if it still works. Yep, the reduce is working. Okay, so let's try to make it even shorter. So const get first Python is equal. To make it even shorter, I am going to use a trick. Okay, let me show you this trick. So I still have just one argument, but nobody forbade me to use like a second argument, and this will be undefined like always, because this function signature just has this one like it's called with one argument, but I can inside this signature I can make the default value, and this default value can use other arguments. So I can do something like that. A dot find v, and v dot language is equal Python, right? So I am assigning this whatever is returned by this function to the p, right? And I have this p available to me, so I can do something like that. If p, right, then I can just copy this section. Then I'm returning obviously it's gonna be like not p but p first name and p country. Otherwise, there will be no Python developers. Okay, so that looks even shorter. Okay, cool. So probably that's the best I can do. Let me check if that works. Let's run it. This doesn't work. It's not fun. And language, I cannot even pronounce what I have written there. It should be language, not lang whatever. Yeah, if it's v.language, then it works fine. Probably that's the best what I can do. Just doing single line and using template strings, not using any too nasty hacks. This one is like really hacky, in my opinion, like using the unused parameter. But you know, if you want to save some keystrokes, there will have to be some styling changes. There will be some hacks. Okay, so that's the best I can do. If you can do any better, like write me, let me know how many keystrokes you can do this one. Okay, so I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoyed this comparison of 3 different approaches, like 4 actually, 4 different approaches. Like the first one was doing that in like properly. Then we have this really explicit calling the find function 3 times, and we have the reduce option, and finally we have this a bit hacky, but I think the shortest version. Okay, so it has worked. Let me delete other code, and yeah, the official tests have passed. I'm going to submit final, and that's it. See you in another kata. Goodbye.